Do you know the story of the ship that was buried with its captain? Let me tell you about it. It's not just a story, it's a curse. And if you listen carefully, maybe you can hear the Vikings' voices echoing across the ages. Deep in the fjords of Norway and Iceland, secrets lie beneath the waves. Secrets like this one, which we're going to talk about today. They speak of a time when the icy waters teemed with longboats of fierce warriors and daring expeditions. Today, we'll venture into the heart of this maritime legacy, examining the gripping tale of Viking burial practices and the haunting curse that followed. This is more than just history, it's a journey into the soul of the Vikings. What do you imagine when you think of Viking ships? For me, they're symbols of exploration and bravery. But for our ancestors, these ships were more than just vessels. They were lifelines, connecting them to their gods, their past, and even their afterlife. In 892 AD, the legendary Viking chieftain Olaf the White set sail from his home in Norway to explore new lands. With him on this voyage were many young men who had come to seek their fortunes. However, disaster struck during their travels and their ship was wrecked along the rocky Icelandic coast. The survivors, including Olaf, managed to make their way ashore, but soon found themselves freezing and alone in an unfamiliar land. Their hopes of rescue dwindled with each passing moment. As snow began to blanket the landscape as the storm raged around them, they did something unthinkable. To save themselves from the harsh elements, they sacrificed one of their number. They chose the lowest man on the ship's hierarchy, a slave named Thor. After killing him, they cut open his chest and used his still beating heart to warm themselves. Then they left his lifeless body on the beach and fled inland. When they returned the next day, they discovered that Thorgils' body had vanished. Was it the work of wolves or perhaps a vengeful spirit? What they didn't realize was that they had unleashed a curse that would echo through the ages. This grim tale isn't just a relic of the past, it's a chilling reminder of the lengths to which desperate people could go and the consequences of their actions. It also shows how terrifying life must have been for Vikings. Even after death, fear of the unknown stalked them. But let's shift our focus now to a different aspect of Viking life, something that fascinated me as a kid. Can you guess what it is? That's right, burials. They weren't your typical funeral services, but rather elaborate ceremonies filled with rituals and symbolism. Imagine the scene. A longship, not just any ship, but one carefully chosen for its role in the afterlife. Inside this vessel lies more than just wood. There are precious metals, artifacts, and sometimes even human remains. These aren't just objects or bones. They are tokens of a life well lived, symbols of status and markers of a journey to the afterlife. What could be the reason behind such elaborate practices? Why put so much thought and effort into a burial? In the Viking Age, death wasn't the end. It was a transition. Funerary practices were central to Viking culture, reflecting their beliefs about the afterlife and their deep respect for their dead. Let me take you on a journey through time, back to the 9th century, where the frigid winds of Scandinavia carried tales of exploration, conquest, and a profound connection to the sea. Picture this, a vast expanse of icy waters dotted with longboats, each bearing the hopes and dreams of the Viking people. These ships weren't just vessels, they were lifelines to the afterlife. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the snow-covered landscape, the Vikings gathered, their weathered faces illuminated by the flickering light of torches. They prepared for a ritual that was as intricate as it was meaningful. The process of constructing these ships was no small feat. It required the skill of master craftsmen, who understood the intricacies of shipbuilding and the strength of the sea. The ships were built not just to carry their cargo, but to endure the rough tides of the afterlife as well. Once the ship was complete, it was time for the most solemn part of the ritual, the burial. The ship's interior was transformed into a chamber of the dead, adorned with precious metals and artifacts that symbolized wealth, power, and honor. Sometimes human remains, typically of high-status individuals, were placed within the ship. This wasn't a mere ceremony, it was a celebration of life and a guide to the afterlife. The Vikings believed that those who had sailed the seas in life would continue their journey on the water in death. Now let's talk about a discovery that shook the world, literally. Archaeologists in Norway uncovered a burial mound that contained something truly remarkable. Can you name that? Pause the video here if you want to make a guess. Underneath the mound, they found the remains of a ship and 2 skeletons, one male and one female. But that's not all. The archaeologists also found traces of 13 other individuals buried around the ship. Now this raises questions. Were they part of the crew or passengers? What was the significance of the female skeleton? Who was the man with her? The discovery of these remains has provided invaluable insights into Viking burial practices and beliefs. Through the analysis of the skeletons, archaeologists were able to learn about their diet, health, and even genetic lineage. The presence of the female skeleton suggests that the ship may have been used for more than just transportation. Perhaps she held a significant role on board or even in Viking society as a whole. However, the identity of the male skeleton remains a mystery. Was he a member of the royal family, a powerful chieftain, or an ordinary sailor? The answer might lie in the artifacts discovered alongside the remains, offering clues to his social status and the purpose of the voyage. But wait, there's more. The presence of the other 13 skeletons suggests that this wasn't just an ordinary burial. It was a mass burial. But why? Were they victims of a tragedy at sea, or was it intentional? These questions continue to haunt researchers, reminding us of the complexity of Viking culture and the enduring impact of their traditions. It's incredible to think that these secrets lay hidden for centuries until they were brought to light by dedicated researchers. Each artifact, each bone fragment tells a story of a bygone era that continues to captivate us today. The story of the ship buried with its captain is more than just a legend. It's a window into the beliefs and customs of a fascinating period in history. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, hope flickers like a flame and that the bond between crew and captain is unbreakable, even in death. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to watch another video. We will see you next time. Until then, take care.